Welcome, breasties. We are here
Yay.
today to welcome you to our page and hope that you find some amazing value here. And before we get started with what our topic today, we realized that we haven't introduced ourselves. I want to share some information about myself, and I live in Dallas, Texas. I have three little people that are 10, 10, and 7. And then we have two older daughters that are 25 and 23. And then we have three dogs. So we have two puppies and then a 5-year-old little Chihuahua. So our hands are full all the time, as I'm sure you can tell. And what else is really
What's
exciting
your
about
husband's name? Your
my
husband?
husband? That's right. Yeah, my husband. Let's not forget about him, right? David Nieves is my husband, and I'm originally from California, moved to Virginia for a long time, and then my husband lived here in Texas, and we met online. Well, we met in person, but we did the long distance thing for a long time, so I ended up moving to Texas. So now I've been here for about 5 years. Can't believe it. It's crazy. Time's going by so fast. And we have a really amazing story to tell you about how my explant happened, how her explant happened, and then how we got brought together. So
Yeah,
Annette.
cool. Should I introduce? I'll introduce myself real quick. My name is Annette Gano. I am originally from Los Angeles, but I moved to the mountains of Taos, New Mexico. Gosh, it's been 22 years of mountain living. I am on my second awesome marriage. My first awesome marriage, my first husband and I are really good friends, and we have a daughter, and her name is Jasmine, and she's 23. And then in my second marriage, he has a son named Joseph, and he's 23. So we have two 23-year-olds, and then we have a tiebreaker, Mielita, our little honey pot, and she's 11. And so my husband, Bo, is in construction. He's a mountain man. He's a beast. He's out there. And I'm like originally from Los Angeles, your city girl who got implants, got really, really sick, and married this really cool guy that tried to tell me all those years ago when we first met, you're sick because of your implants. And I wouldn't listen to him. So, in fact, we got in a really big fight about it. But fast forward, he was right. I got them taken out. And this is just to let you guys know who we are. We want you to know that we're humans. We're here. We want to support you. We want you to be part of our community. And if you hear that in the background, that's my dog dreaming. So it's not me. But anyway, here's our little intro. So, Brooke, go ahead. How do you want to start this?
Well, this is a cool story, y'all, because we didn't start out as breasties. We actually knew each other because my husband and Annette knew each other. And I really don't even know how the original reach out happened, where it was like, I don't know if one of us reached out and was like, hey, I don't, maybe you reached out and was like, hey, I know your husband. Like, congratulations. Maybe
You know
you,
what? I knew David. David and I did business together, and I was always impressed with David. He's such a good guy. Little did I realize that he and my husband Bo would end up being such good friends as well. But I reached out to you, Brooke, because I was watching your Instagram and you were so freaking fit and bad to the bone, and you were a coach, and I needed a coach. And that was how we originally met. I needed somebody to coach me through many things. Little did I realize you'd end up coaching me a lot through life rather than physical stuff too. But yeah, and then we became like besties before breasties, like right away.
no, we just stayed. It was like an instant, like, you understand me, you understand me. It was like understanding each other, respecting each other, solid communication, laughter, like all these awesome components of friendship. And the crazy thing is, we never met until last year.
I think it was it was the year before last. No, it was last year. It
Last
was
year,
last
right?
year, I think.
We
We
were
met in
friends
person. Yeah.
for years, but never actually got to meet in person until last year, which that was crazy. So, but before that, you had gone through. We were working on your health stuff, and I remember going through your goals and you telling me the issues that you were having with your health. And then I remember when you were like, I'm getting an explant. And I was like, oh, that's great. Okay, wonderful. And then I think you tried to maybe kind of talk to me about my boobs a little bit, but you weren't pushy, you know? I think it was just like, hey, Brooke, maybe, you should talk about explanting. And at the time, I was like, just not ready to hear that conversation anyway. So I was like,
I think it was like, if you have symptoms, you better get them checked out. Like, I think it was something like that. And then I remember you saying, I get this thing, it's really weird. And you kind of like showed me either a rash or something. And I was like, well, let's see what happens. Like, I was definitely not pushy, but I wanted to talk to you about it so bad. But of course I was like, I love this girl. I don't want her to think that all I'm going to talk to her about is explanting just because I was going through it. So I remember talking to you about it though a little bit.
now being on the other side of explanting, now I understand what it's like when we have explanted, and then we talk to people and they are like, yeah, I just can't, I don't understand why I'm so sick. And we know they have implants and we're like, ah, I get it now being on this side, why you didn't, wanting to say something, but didn't want to push it. But yeah, you went through your explant what year? 2020?
Um, What year is this? 2024,
2025 or 2025.
March 12th, 2021.
2021. Okay. So 2021. Wow. Okay. And then I started having serious symptoms like 2023. So I think like a year and a half later is when my symptoms got really loud and they were really annoying. And I was having like those rashes and night sweats, and my skin was pissed off all the time, and my eyes weren't white anymore. They were like a funky, like off-white, yellowy, weird color. And I started getting that ratchet smell.
Yeah. Oh yeah, your personal smell you told me about and your hair. You were starting to lose
Hair
hair.
started falling out. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
And
And
you have
for me, it was different because it took so long. I had mine in for over 25 years. So mine was like this slow process, even though I had a loud, you can watch my other YouTube video about what happened, but I had a very loud thing tell me right away, 1 month after implanting. And I didn't listen for 25 years longer. Although I did try and I tried to get help. At this point in your life, Brooke, what was great was there were a lot of people around you at this point that you had to talk to. I mean, I think I remember you telling me, and I was like, Brooke, don't be afraid to do it. Like, you can do this. If I could do this, you can do this. And I remember again, still not really pushing you. Like, I feel like I was a part of your process in explanting, but I don't feel like I was the catalyst that really maybe made the hatchet happen. Like, I don't know, because I feel like you were talking to other people. And at that time, I was moving. I was under a lot of pressure, just had a lot of puppies. I was all over the place. So I feel like I remember talking with you, but what was the real thing that happened with you that was actually like, I'm done. I'm ready to do this?
Well, you know what? I think that's a whole conversation. It's a whole YouTube video probably on its own, Annette. Like the fact that you had a voice come and
Yeah.
tell you like this is a problem. I had the same thing happen to me. It was like, and it was a pretty so interesting because it's a pretty clear conversation, like voice. And then we both chose to be like, so I wonder how many girls had
Yeah.
could say, you know what, actually I had the same feeling, or I had that same intuitive, conversation or whatever. Mine was a conversation with my body. Like it was an actual straight up conversation out of nowhere. And my body was like, you put something foreign here and we don't like it. And it was like a sad feeling though. Like my body was like sad, like telling me like, why did you do this? Like, and I was like, and I ignored it. I was like, ah. So yeah, that's interesting that you had that conversation. So I ignored that. And then a year and a half later is when, a year and a half, 2 years later, I really don't even know the timing, is when my hair started falling out, like chunks of it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying. Obviously, as women, we're very tied to our hair. And so then I hired a holistic practitioner to do hair samples and blood samples and saliva samples. And we're going over everything. And she's like, yeah, everything looks pretty good, and maybe we could up your salt a little bit. And, so like my markers and everything looked pretty good. So it's like this weird feeling of like the doctor's telling you that everything looks pretty good, but you don't feel good, So I was like, this isn't right. And she was like, but for $7,000, you can hire us and we can, try to figure it out or something. And I was like, okay. And I already knew in my head one day I would get an explant anyways, just because I was like, the journey I'm on, my growth journey, I can't keep them in because it just doesn't align with where I'm headed, spiritually. But I was like envisioning like years later, maybe like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and then it got neurological. That's what got really scary. So then I started interviewing doctors and I had a couple of awful experiences. And then I interviewed the doctor that I ended up explaining with, who's amazing. And then I was gonna wait again. I was like, well, maybe I need to wait till next year because it was like winter, Christmas was coming, and like there was so much happening. It was like December 6th. I ended up explaining. So I was like, oh my gosh, Christmas is coming, and then New Year's, and then, maybe I should wait a year from now. And then I went out of town, and there was a girl that I saw while I was out of town, and she's like, why are you waiting? And I was like, just her asking me that, like, why are you waiting? I was like, I don't know. And then I just called the doctor I liked, and I was like, hey, do you have so and so available? And he was like, no. And then an hour later, they texted me and they said, hey, we just had a spot open up on December 6th. And I was like, and there was this window of time because my husband just had his surgery for his chest. So he was like in a brace for like 3 weeks and he couldn't do the dishes, he couldn't help with the dogs, he couldn't do anything. So then I couldn't be healing the same time as him because then we wouldn't be able to like, take care of ourselves. So he had just gotten the approval like 2 days before to move again. So anyways, that was it. I planned everything that day, booked our flight, booked the surgery, booked everything, set it all up, and then it was like 2 weeks later I went and explanted. So that was like,
And I remember getting that text. You're like, babe, it's on the 6th. I was like, what? Like, it was so, again, had just moved, had just had puppies, like all this whole thing was going on. And I was like, wait a minute. And I remember texting you going, wait a minute, is it tomorrow? Is it the next day? Like and it was crazy how quickly it happened for
yeah, because
you.
we talk a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is like once you make the decision, I think what people don't realize is I made the decision. And again, go to our YouTube channel because I talk about this as well. Brooke goes deeper into her story as well about like what happened with our processes and stuff like that. But I just know that once you make the decision, that's the hardest part. You get to that point, you're like, get them out of me. Once you start realizing I had different things than Brooke. I mean, I've breastfed two girls. I, had all these different ailments, 3 autoimmune disorders, a rare blood clot disorder. And also we are also going to be sharing a video on why we chose our specific doctors. So that's also something to look out for because this is crucial. And in our book, we actually talk about red flags with doctors and what have you as well. So, it's kind of crazy that you come full circle, you make this decision and you're like, you're done. And it happens so quickly. So that was just December 2024. It's crazy. That was just a couple months ago. And I was so proud of Brooke. She came out of it like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. She was like the dream patient, like came, I'm like, who are you? I go, you do realize no one comes out looking this amazing. And we're also going to be talking about what we did to prepare for surgery, how we worked on gathering our confidence back and things like that. But for this video, we wanted you guys to get to know us a little bit. And also we're happy to do Q&As with you guys. And we are going to be doing a Zoom with everyone where we can connect as well. But we thought this little video would just be kind of like an introduction. So how do we get to the book? What do you want to say?
Our book that it's
Yeah, like, well, because so then December happened. I thought you were raising your hand like you wanted to say
no,
something. You
no,
were
I
waiting.
was waiting. Hi guys.
Um, we went through December. We made it through the holidays.
Yep.
And then we made it into the new year and we had an interesting situation happen. Do you want to talk about how this whole thing happened with Corey or?
Yeah, so Annette, I had never seen this girl on social media before, and Annette was like, Brooke, this girl needs help. And you loved Corey because
Oh
you've
my
been following her for a while.
You guys, so we're talking about Corey Bosco. She is East Coast DIY. She has 6.6 million followers on TikTok. Like, I don't know, like a million followers on Instagram, something very close to that. And I have been following Corey since before like all the flooding. She, before Vinny had gone, if you guys are here because of them, you can know who I'm talking about. But Vinny had gone away, her husband, to the army. She remodeled their home while he was gone. He came back, and then 7 months later, they got hit with double hurricanes and wiped out all of the progress and everything that she had done. Then they were rebuilding. And I am telling you, when I tell you I was invested in this whole thing, I have been invested in this woman's journey. I just really liked her personality. I liked her family. I liked her kids. And so I had been following her. And all I know is, and Brooke, maybe you can fill this in after I share this. I had seen her on social say that she was going through some health issues. And at that point, Corey and I had been texting. We met on social, we met on TikTok. She had talked about something that she needed, and I couldn't send her a picture on social. So I just said, look, it's not letting me send you a picture because we weren't friends. And then she gave me her phone number and I texted her. So we were on a personal level prior to her diagnosis of this BIA ALCL, which we'll talk about. It's a rare form of lymphoma that comes from textured implants from their friction and rubbing together. But I had a feeling in my gut that it had something to do with something like that. I don't know why. Anyway, I texted her separately because she wasn't posting about it. And I just sent her love, and I just said, if she needs a friend, I'm here. And then that was when she wrote back, I have been diagnosed with BIALCL. And I was like, oh my God, girl, let's talk. And so in comes Brooke, because Brooke has this whole, she's into the whole wellness theory. I'm a wellness liaison. I'm a health coach. Brooke is also a health coach. So we knew how to support her, but also we had just explanted. Now, before you jump in on this, Brooke, I have to say this because this is crazy. What happened was I was telling Corey about Brooke. In that moment, literally in that text thread, all of a sudden, Brooke sent me a screenshot and was like, who is this person? Because at that point, Corey had followed Brooke. And I was like, wait a minute, I am talking to her right now. What is going on? Well, Brooke had had the surgery and had a recap visit with Dr. Dev, right? And Dr. Dev posted to his stories that Brooke had had a meeting with him. Dr. Dev is the same doctor as Corey. Did you guys just connect all those dots? Like, this was divine. So Dr. Dev is the same surgeon for Brooke and Corey. And then we all ended up talking. It was just random. So anyway, I want to share that. Sorry, Brooke.
That was crazy.
It was crazy. It was crazy. So then we get on a Zoom or a phone call or something. What happened next?
Yeah, got on a phone call and we're like, what is going on? And she was like, I just got this news that I have these textured implants and they're super dangerous and I need to get them out like ASAP. And she was like, I just had a conversation with Dr. Deb. I'm going to use him. Like, what are your thoughts? I haven't had time to do research or anything. And I was like, oh, well, he's amazing. I'm so grateful that I had him as my surgeon. So you're in amazing hands. Like, don't worry. Because I mean, obviously going into surgery, explanting is terrifying enough as it is. And then the thought of like, oh my gosh, what about my surgeon? It's a
And
whole.
she only had 6 days. I think it was 6 days to prepare, where we had months. So, like, we were prepping for it way before. So she was really in shock. And she has her own story that she'll tell you on her Instagram, the whole story. It's like a 10-part series about what happened with Corey.
Mhm. And
So,
then we got on with her and she was like, I'm all about this education. This is amazing. More women need to hear about this. And we were like, yeah, because going into getting implants like that, I just didn't even know you could get sick. Like I had no clue.
yeah, it's crazy.
Just no conversation around it. I mean, social media was different back then, 7 years ago, 30 years ago, like social media. Well, there wasn't social media that far back, but there just wasn't these conversations about, oh, you can get sick from implants. It was like, it's always been, oh, you don't like something about your body and you got the money to change it, go get plastic surgery. Like, that's it. Simple.
There's no informed consent. And I think that that is what is going to be changing across the board in our medical world. Informed consent, better understanding of what you're getting yourself into. Um, I believe on that phone call with Corey, that initial one, because we had met a couple times after that, we ended up doing a Zoom later on. Somebody said, I'm pretty sure it was Corey, but don't quote me. You guys should write a book, or I don't know how that came out, but it was like, between Brooke and I, we were so knowledgeable in everything that needed to be done. But when you're talking with somebody, it's a lot that she's already processing what's going on with her body. And you can't drop all that knowledge on somebody in a phone call. Like, it's a shocking part of your life to realize it's time to get these babies out. And she also had breastfed her kids. They become a part of you. They become a part of your identity. And so in that moment, it was like, boom, I knew I wanted to help people, and I had already done I filmed a documentary for my explant journey that has not gone to production yet. I still have high hopes that it will. But even way back when, pre-COVID, when I first found out about my implants, I started filming, and then you'll learn about my story. It got delayed because of COVID, and we were still trying to film even during that time. And then, yeah, we're still waiting for the next piece to come to fruition. But it's been a journey, and here we are. And we are grateful that Corey kind of inspired us, because it was like we had been talking about, Brooke and I have always worked together, loved each other, like had these interesting interwoven lives. Our husbands are really close. Like, what can we do to make a difference? And being in health and wellness for the majority of our adult lives, this just seemed like the next step. And it was like, here we are. So Corey was prepping for her surgery. I started writing the book. Brooke started writing her pieces. And we had another portion of a gal that came in to help us out. And Corey was a little bit part of it. And that's what we did. And we just kind of started rolling with it. And all of a sudden we wrote a 47-page ebook.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it is a lot to put on somebody when they first are going through the experience to like try to talk to them. If you guys hear my dogs, those are my babies. If, to have a conversation with someone and be like, these are all the things that you need to consider. You need to consider how you're going to handle this spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, every single area of your existence is connected to this explant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, for our book specifically, I don't know, my dogs are welcome to go on. Annette, period. Let me tell my husband.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah, so what we did, I think what Brooke was just about to lead into was just deciding how we were going to figure out what we were going to talk about and what was so important to us. And we did it in sisterhood, we did it in love, and we did it like in the sense of we both had such different experiences. I cannot even tell you the experiences that Brooke and I both had bipolar. And I think it's important to understand that, like, what Brooke experienced is valuable and beautiful, and what I experienced is as well. And going through this process together, we feel like we can help a lot of people, because not everyone's we're all bio individuals. We are all going to respond differently. And I think it's important to be able to see all sides and then recognize that you might latch onto the emotional section of the book, or you might just be a technical person. Like, tell me the logistics. What are the red flags with these doctors? What do I need to pack? And then you might want all of it. You might want the meditation. You might want the detox. I mean, understanding the power of anesthesia on the body and how it is the hardest thing to detox from the body, like getting an understanding and grasping all of that. So when we were writing the book, and Brooke is back, but it was all about making sure we did our best to cover all the bases, and I really think we did.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Brooke.
Yeah, because it's just there's just so many pieces that go into it, and you don't realize it until you're going through it. And if we had had a manual as we were going through it to be like, okay, let me run through it. Oh, wow, I'm experiencing the emotional side. Okay, let me go to the emotional section. Oh, crap, it's time to pack. Okay, let me go look at my pack list. Or, oh my gosh, it's time to eat post-surgery. What am I supposed to be eating? Oh, I have a grocery list. Like, it was just it's definitely a resource that me and you did not have. That's really where the inspiration came from, was Corey knowing she was going into it and being like, oh my gosh, wow, what does it feel like to be back in that position of everything that is intertwined with choosing to explant.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we even have a section on the drains. Like you can, a lot of people don't understand that you're going to have drains. There are some doctors that don't require drains, but I can tell you that there was a moment where the drains were so annoying. I felt like this is harder than the
Yeah.
freaking surgery, you know? So that conversation as well, where the doctor will hand you a piece of paper after and tell you like a little bit of prep care and what to do. But are you emotionally prepared for that even before the surgery? And so we're trying our best to set you up for success.
Yep.
Um, Whether that's emotionally, physically, like in regards to diet and detoxing and, you know, understanding why it's important to try to become more alkaline rather than acidic, because that helps you respond better. There are so many things that we touch in the book. And um, yeah, where I feel honored. I feel like this was my path. I feel like going through, you know, you go through the stages of emotions and it's like the why me type of feeling like, God, why did I even get these 25 years of hell on wheels for myself? But to come this far, to bounce back, to be on the other side of it, and now be able to possibly help other people through this process feels like the ultimate gift. I don't know, Brooke, what are you feeling?
I feel like that's the only reason we go through anything hard in life, really, is we go through, we're given a challenge or an obstacle, tragedy, devastation, whatever it may be, that occurs in our life. And then we have a choice. Do we just sit in the why me? This shouldn't have been me. I didn't want this to happen. Or how can I connect with people and keep my heart open to life and make the world a better place because of what I experienced? How do I become a greater human because of something I experienced? Like that's just that's it, you know, and I got sick, you got sick, and there's a lot of other women that we've spoken to that have been sick. And the reality is if we come together, we can help educate women and inspire women and guide women and support women if we just share our story. And so that's why we're here, because that's how me and you think in it.
It's how we think, and who would have thunk all those years ago when we met that we'd end up being breasties, we'd end up being here. Um, you guys, we have such exciting things happening in the future with this community as well. We can't wait to share it all with you. It's we're grateful that you're here, and I don't and reach out if you need us. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about today, Brooke? Or
Stay tuned. We have a really awesome newsletter that if you subscribe to our newsletter, we will drop the link for you to subscribe. So we'll be sending out a weekly newsletter. We have content that's going to be coming out weekly as well. And then we're just here on a friend basis to help you along this journey. And then we have a beautiful ebook that we created that has 47 pages of goodness, all the essentials, everything you need to know from the moment you choose to explant all the way through when you're in your healing space. So it's very detailed, and it's been very helpful to the women who have used it. So
yep. And I'll just to let you guys know, it is interactive. You may have seen us on social pointing out how it's interactive. Just know that there are pages where you can click on a button and you can listen to the Golden Light Healing Meditation with our dear friend Michelle Islas, who's a hypnotherapist and a Reiki master. And you can listen to that and guide you through healing before and after. And even if you've already explanted and you're still going through the remnants of struggling through that healing, I am off and on sometimes. Sometimes I have a bad day. I listen to that meditation. It's so wonderful to guide me. But also, there are pages where you'll see Brooke's photo or my photo or a click button. It's interactive because it'll take you straight into a conversation with us. So um, I think that's it. I don't know. What do you think, Brooke?
until the next video.
We love you guys already.
I know. Welcome to our breasty community. We'll see you guys
Yay.
on the next one.
Ciao.